Okay. Yeah, thank you. I'm David. I am also one of the instructors here. You've never been on any of these sessions. And so yeah, last week Ronnie was covering navigation. And today we will do a bit of lists, working with lists on Android. What we use when you're working with lists. So I'll just start with a quick refresher of what we did last week by just creating screens and yeah, just working with a list and how we do that on Android. So I'll just share my screen. Yeah, awesome. So we'll go to this project. So this is the app which we started with. I think Ronnie made some modifications, but that's on a different branch. Okay, let me wait for this to finish doing. Hopefully I do not have any proxies turned on. Okay, well, since we're not like working with the internet, I guess that's not today's concern. I just want you to see the app that we kind of want to build. So, okay, cool, it's installing. Yeah, so this was how the app started out as. I could just like enter stuff, save it, and have it like appear here. So I want to do one quick thing, kind of cover the basics of just like a quick refresh of last week's basics, and move on to move all this to another screen, or rather have a different screen that will be displaying all our thoughts. And so yeah, I think I'll just come here. Also a quick refresh on how the Android package looks like. Just come to your package, say new. We want to create a new screen activity. We just need something empty. I'll call this so yeah, I'm gonna call this list. I'm gonna call this not lists. Create a layout for it. Okay, cool. And done. With that done, I'm also going to rename this to something else, from main activity to, okay, let me clean up on unnecessary things. I'm also going to rename this to, this is the one that has all the edit stuff. I'm gonna rename this to add note activity. Cool. So yeah, now we have two screens, but they are not connected just yet. So if you go to the manifest, you'll see it's added over here. So if you remember from the first call, the manifest is just like an ID for your app. Yeah. The add note is null. So now I want to change a couple of things. So whenever you open a note app, you don't like go to the screen where you add the note, right? You usually see the list first. So I'm gonna move this to the screen
Hey
that I want
David,
to be
we
default. Hey,
we can use a little of Zoom. It's not visible.
okay. Okay. Well, why did I? No, I think I'll need to just do the usual Android Studio preference. I guess that is large enough. Yeah, for the whole
Yeah,
ID.
thank you. That's much better.
I think it's gonna be just tiny. Okay. close all these unnecessary files. Cool. Yeah, so I just move this intent filter to this note list. Also, if you remember from the first call or second, the intent filter is just like listening to what's happening, what events are coming from the system. So when someone taps the icon, they'll be taken to the note list activity. Okay, so we want to flesh out our note list. So on the layout, I'm gonna do a very simple thing. First, I'm going to add a button. I'm gonna add something called a floating action button. Yep, here it is. And then I want it to be on the bottom. This is how constraint layout works. Where do you want the bottom? So I want the bottom to be to the bottom of the whole parent. Then I want it to be over here, the end. So I'll just say constraint end to end of end. And now I want it to have a bit of space around it. So I'll use margin and say I want it to have like a 16 dp margin. Then I want it to, what's this? Okay, content description. Okay, let's add this. So this content description is more of an accessibility thing. So for example, we have, let's say if the people who, we have like different kinds of people using our apps. Not only, I mean, there are people who have like hearing impairment to visual impairment, and content description is more of an accessibility. It makes your app more accessible to people who maybe can't like see exactly what is on the screen. So when you actually use a screen reader, the content description is what will be read out to them. So yeah, if you're supporting multiple locales, you might have to think of how they call it in their own language. But since we are not doing that, I'll just call this add note button. That's it. And then we need an icon for this. I don't know if it's readily available. So yeah, we'll have to add. So if we want to add like an icon or some vector, we have this drawable folder. Come to new vector asset. And then there are like a bunch of icons to choose from. So we want to add. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna remove all this and just call it add. And done. Done. And now I can come here and say I see add. Oh, now we have our little button over here. And now if we run the app, we should see like this is the default screen. Then we can add we'll add other views like, let me close this. Yeah, so this is where our list will be. So whenever we add a new note, I want us to like display a list of all the notes over here. So we can add a little information here, like this is, so yeah, sometimes it's really good to have, for example, like seeing an empty screen doesn't make sense. So it's really wise to have, first, it's really wise to have an ID for all your views. And secondly, it's really good to have something to represent your default screen state. Like this is just like an empty screen. So I'm just gonna add a little text view that says no what's here or something. And then I'm gonna call this no notes text view. This I'm gonna call this add note in constraint layout. So this, yeah, I want it to be centered. So just end start up and bottom, and that's how you center it. Constraint layout. And now we have our default kind of thing set. Next up, what we can add here is cool. Next, what we want to do is whenever we tap this, we go to the new screen. I think it's kind of what Ronnie covered last week. So this is a quick refresher. So yeah, I'm gonna just come back to this note list. Find group by ID, floating action button, the ID that this is also another reason why you should always have IDs. Makes it, that's how you'll access it from your code. Add floating button, and then I can come and say like this is the floating, let's add notes up action button. And then whenever I click it, set on click listener. Whenever I click on my fab, I want it to open the new, so I can say open add notes activity, create a function over here. And yeah, so if you remember, we just have an intent, which basically the intent tells us basically your intentions in the app, where are you coming from and where are you going to. So we are coming from this, I believe, and then we are going to add notes. And then you just say start activity, and that's how we launch new activity. Let's see. Awesome. So other things, for example, you might notice we don't have like a back button here to like go back to the main app. So I can like come here and say the parent activity is this. And now I think that should add a back. Yeah, that's one way of adding the back arrow. Once it like knows what the parent is, it can always point back to it using this. Awesome. So I'm also going to clean up this enter your thoughts screen because I think I didn't clean it up last time when I worked on it. I'm gonna delete this from there, and we are good to go. Let me see. Awesome. Yep, so you're gonna save something, and then when you click back, we want to see it in this in like displayed as a list. Yeah. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this text view that we were like setting to invisible every time we wrote text. I'm gonna move it to the note list. So for starters, we'll use Also want it to be not invisible anymore. For starters, we'll just like use a text view and keep on adding things to this text view as it grows. So the text view, another tip when using XML, there's this tools thing you can use to like preview things on design. So yeah, when you run the app, you won't like see this text. This is just used for design or preview, or when you're like creating your own, doing your own developer things and seeing how things will look like if you actually had real text. So yeah, tools is what we kind of like use to test things out. If I replace this with like the Android namespace, then this will actually be part of the app. Yeah. So I'm gonna use tools now to see how it will look like. So this is text about my thoughts and consent layout. So we want it to be to the top of parent. And yeah, view your thoughts, no longer part of this. Also, we'll have to move this from here, move it all the way back to the not list. And then we'll also have to move move this. Gonna have to move this somewhere here. We're gonna change all this since we are no longer hiding it, so it's always visible. And yeah, I'm gonna walk you through what's happening in. Awesome. So now the idea is you enter your text, you save it, and once you save it, we add the text to, we save the text somewhere, and when you come back here, the text is displayed. So you come back, add another thought, you'll see that your first thought and your second thought, and yeah, the more thoughts you add over here, the more the text view or the list grows. So how do we do this? We will come, so I'll come over here and create, I think I'll just create like a new, let me call it thoughts source. So yeah, this is gonna be the where our thoughts will be stored. I'm gonna call it, it's gonna be an object. So yeah, basically, yeah, in case you, so yeah, a new Kotlin keyword, in case you haven't done Kotlin that much. We have classes. I think we've seen, like, we've used classes so far. An object. So we have these scenarios where we want just one instance of something. Like, we don't want something to be created like multiple times. We just want it to have like one source of truth. Or so yeah, imagine like a bank, or for example, like the central bank, right? There's only one central bank. There can't be like 20 central banks. So basically, the object idea is just to have like one instance of something, and it can be used across multiple areas and still be, I'm like looking for layman term to put this. The bottom line is it's just one instance of it. You can look at a design pattern called the singleton design pattern. That's basically the whole idea behind this object keyword. And so we are gonna call this provide thoughts. And this is gonna give us a list of our thoughts, which are strings. And then I'm gonna have a variable here, and I'm gonna call it thoughts. And it's going to be a list of strings. And I'm gonna create a new one called add thought. Now this is supposed to be. So yeah, if you're working with Kotlin, you might have noticed you have things called, we have this mutable added in front. So what this means is it can be edited, like it can be changed. You can add and remove things. But if it has like this list, means it's immutable, meaning you can't modify or change it as you wish. And usually it's a very good idea or good practice to have your data be as immutable whenever you can, make it immutable whenever you can. That kind of gives you, you don't run the risk of having values changed at some point without you knowing about it. Yeah, but I'll just share more resources on the concept of mutability and immutability. So that's why I created a whole thing around this mutable thing. So we'll not be exposing the mutable variable itself. Then add thought. I'm gonna add a new thought here. And yeah, that's it. So if I do come here, whenever we add a note, you're gonna take the thoughts, that's us. Then we're gonna add a new thoughts text. And that's it. We're gonna be adding it to that list. And when we come to the note list activity, we will do this. Where is the thoughts data source? And my thoughts. Yeah, so let's see how this will work. Why did I not do something? Cool. Okay, so yeah, so you can see like we have this weird bracket. So that means we need to check if it's empty or not first before we do. So if source is not empty, and that's when we set it. And we can also hide. So we can I can move this to a method and say display thoughts. Actually realize I've been calling this notes and it's thoughts, and it's so confusing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna rename everything to thoughts. Thought list. Be consistent. Then I'm gonna call this add thought. So, yeah, display your thoughts. So yeah, once we display our thoughts, I want us to hide this no notes thing. So I'm gonna, I think, yeah, just gonna copy paste this. This is no notes, no notes. Next view, and once we display them, I'm gonna say no view. Okay. Um, and pass it here. So we shouldn't see this, and if we add a new note, this should disappear. Okay, come here, say random dots. So it clears up, and we have a new, yeah, disappeared. We come here, enter new random dot two. Awesome. So we need to make this look kind of like a list, right? So if I actually come, where is it? So I'm gonna come here and do a bit of manipulation. Just want a string that we can set and have it look good. Add in dots. It's been a while since I used this class. I just hope I'll be right. This was it. And we just return. Yeah, let's see. This is not necessary anymore. I just wanted it to have a very nice feel of a list to it. Let's see. Oops. I think it's supposed to be the other way. Yeah. So yeah, we have a very yeah, we have a kind of like a list being updated every time we add something here. And yeah, this we might think it might work, but then maybe having like a simple, because these are just like strings and you're adding it to like a string and updating a single text view. But performance wise, it won't be the best. So you can imagine if you have like a million or thousands of strings, what happens then? Yeah, so performance wise, you'll notice it's gonna be not that good. So there are actually other views that make it in terms of performance. For example, let's say you are trying to display a list of shopping items. You know, this is much more complicated than this simple strings, and you already have views which make this a not so bad experience, and let's see how we can do that. So we have something called, so we're going to stop using the text view to like stop updating things using a text view. And now we're going to try and use something called a recycler view. So what is a recycler view? I'm trying to look for, oops. So yeah, we have this view called a recycler view. And whenever you see a list on almost every single Android app, high chance it's behind it all. It doesn't matter if it's a library or whatever it is they're using. Chances are behind it all, it's a recycler view or the list view. Okay, initially people used to use list view a lot, but it wasn't as performant as using recycler view. So basically what a recycler view does is instead of like recreating the whole item each and every single time, it kind of reuses, like from the name, it kind of like reuses or recycles the view and just kind of like swaps or checks for data changes and not instead of you worrying about creating the next view to fill your screen and how it will fit and all these things, it's more concerned with how the data in the list keeps changing. So yeah, the only concern is just like swapping in data and reacting to the data you receive, and everything else about huge lists and all that performance stuff is already done for you under the hood. And yeah, so there's already like a quick setup here in the Android docs, but we're gonna just see how it works for us now in our context. So I'm gonna come to the note list, then I'm going to replace the text view that we had with the new view. So you can also drag drop if you, yeah, I rarely use drag drop. I'm gonna just stick to what I know. Cycle view, match parent, wrap content. Yeah, it's like built for lists, as you can see. And give it an ID. I'm gonna call it dots. Yes, I love you. And what else are we missing? So a recycler view has something called a layout manager. So this is how do you want it to be? Do you want it to be like a grid? Do you want it to be like linear, like top to bottom or left to right, or is it like staggered? We've looked at an app like Pinterest. A grid is maybe, I don't know which app uses grid, like the photo app or something. Yeah, so we're just gonna keep it simple with linear. And if you actually set it here, you also have to provide the orientation. Will it be vertical, horizontal? I think it makes sense to have a vertical list. And since it's constraint layout, we're going to have to say constraint top to top of parent, constraint start parent, and yeah, that looks good. And let me see if I'm forgetting anything about recycler views. Cool. So yeah, so if you remember, I talk about tools that like help you visualize stuff. I think you can see how it look like with 3 items, 20 items, 5 items. See. So yeah, just gonna just do 3. Then so there's this thing called list item. So how a recycler view works is you're going to have to create. So you have a list, right? And you expect each item in that list to look a certain way. For example, if it's the Twitter app, you expect like an item to have the the username icon on like the left or right, the username, the user's name, then the text, and maybe an image if they attach an image. So you need to create like a layout for this, how this item in the list will look like. So here we'll come here and say, we're gonna create a new layout. Let me call this, yeah, item dot. So how our thought will look like. So I think it will have, so we can come here and probably give it, let's see, we can give it an image, image view, and wrap content. So yeah, this I can see. I can put in like an icon, so just to make things look a little pretty. Not, oh, no, I think I can use this. I use this note. So then, and the description, this is just like note icon. What else do we need? Oh, constraint layout, constraint. I mean, you don't have to use constraint layout, but yeah, I will just go with this. So the idea that I do have the top of the parent, and yeah, maybe it needs a bit of space. Wait, yeah, a bit of space. Okay, so one thing I also want to mention. So if you actually say match parent for the layout height, and I come over here, list item, and I give it the item dot. As you can see, it's going to take the whole, you think like it's showing only one item, but there are actually 3 items. The issue is it's taken up the whole RecyclerView space. So you can just come here and change this. We change this to wrap. Come back. Oops. Yeah, I can now see it's only takes up the space that it's supposed to take. So yeah, sometimes if you ever wonder where your items, why it's not showing all your items, first thing to check is the height, and yeah, before you do anything else. So we need to give this some space. I'm gonna give it like 16. 16 looks okay. Okay, I'm gonna constrain this to so we can make this nice with a card view. Maybe have it match and have the image view inside. Actually, you can just make this whole thing a card view. And everything I just did. I just want to make this look a bit prettier with a card. Our card. Then you can do some actually do the margin from here. Elevation. And the elevation is what puts the little shadow on under the cards. If you're in light theme, if you're in dark theme, you won't see a shadow. Cool. The next thing we need is the title. Maybe we need to put something like text view and call it, yeah, maybe tab. This I'm gonna call this note icon image view. Then I'm gonna give this the ID of the note text view, title text view, and this is gonna be note content text view. Yeah, I guess this is enough for now. So also want to see how it look like without setting any text. So let's see content. I need to align them. So constraints of at the end of the icon image. I want it to have a bit of margin, like looks. Yeah, it looks kind of okay. Also want this to be, want them to start after the icon. Also, this one needs some margin as well. Cool. Next, what do I want? I want this content to be at the bottom of the title. So I'm gonna go to bottom. The top should be to the bottom of the title. Yes. Cool. I guess that looks okay. And constraints end to end of parent. Also this constraint end to end of parent. They seem to be so spaced out, so I'm gonna change the width to 0 dp. If you change the width to, it's gonna like, if you don't want it to be just centered and you want it to move, you just want it to like fill the width and not necessarily be moved to the center, you can just change this to 0 dp. Yeah, but this works with constraint layout. For the other layouts, you're gonna have to figure it out on your own. Yeah, seems like it also needs a bit of this. Nice. That looks okay-ish now. Yeah, I can also spice this up a bit, and there's this style attribute, the already pre-made styles which I can use. So I want it to look like, I can actually move this. Yeah, I want it to look more like a title, so I'm gonna use headline 5. Headline 6 looks better. Nice. So that's the title, content. This is how each item on the card will look like. So if I go back to my note list, you can see how everything is going to look like. So the real work begins of setting the recycler view to this data over here. I'm going to come to the thought list activity. Okay, so yeah, this doesn't exist anymore. So I guess I can delete this. And I can also get rid of this. Since you're now going to use a recycler view. And I can even rename this to something else. But yeah. So this is where we'll actually be setting our recycler view. So first we look for it. It's called thoughts. Recycler view. Be recycler view. And we then come, well, thoughts recycler view. So here where we were displaying the thoughts, so I'm gonna do this. Now add a new parameter. Awesome. So if we have thoughts, we are going to set them on the recycler view. So how do we do this? We have this thing called adapter for the recycler view, where we don't just like pass data directly to our recycler view. So the adapter is what? So we have the layout that we created and you have our data. And the adapter is what brings these two things together. So it brings your data and the layout you created to create, to have them in sync and to create your layout, to create the view, to handle the recycling logic based on the data you gave it. So we're going to have to create a thoughts recycle adapter. And then we can, I think we can pass in our thoughts. This is kind of how it will look like. You just give it your data and it's going to do what it needs to. So I'm gonna create this class. Separate file. Okay. List. Usually work with lists stuff with the adapters. Then you're gonna have to inherit from this recycler adapter. I'm gonna also need to create a couple of classes here. So there's something called a view holder. So that is where the logic actually happens. For example, if someone taps on that item, if someone taps on the image, if someone holds on the title, or if someone, basically all the logic in regards to that item on the screen is usually done in this view holder class. So I'm going to create a class called thought view holder, and it inherits from another class called RecyclerView view holder, and it needs I think it's called a view. So yeah, the view is basically the thing. Just think of it for now. Just think of it as the layout you created. So this gives you access to all the IDs and everything you need from this thing that you created. For example, if you wanted to be able to listen to clicks from this specific icon, you'll need access to something called the a view, and it provides you with like the ID and all that stuff. Then on the main class, I'm gonna just come here and put the thought view holder. So yeah, the recycler view is usually a bit of work to set up at first, but eventually you just get the hang of it when you do it more times. If it's like a lot of things happening. So there's 3 methods that needs to be added before you use your recycle adapter. So there's the get item count. This is just how many items are you passing to the recycler view. So I can select thoughts. I need to make this in Kotlin constructors, you have to like put this val to make it member variable. Like for it to be accessible within the whole class scope, you have to add this val. If not, it's only accessible in maybe init blocks only. So this is like the constructor when it comes to the constructor block. Or yeah, if you've done Java, like where you usually do things with the constructor, we do the same in this thing called an init block, but this is not what we want to do. We want it to be accessible in the whole class. Let's add this and make it private as well. Thoughts size. So we have on create view holder. So this is where we create our thought view holder that's going to be used for in the recycling process of the recycler view. And to do that, we can do view holder and the view. The view is, see if I remember doing it with that in that way. About inflator from, are we inflating it from the parent context? So yeah, this is what will inflate the layout. And then I can come here and say inflate. Oops. Inflate the layout and pass in the layout ID. Parent. And I just set it false. Sometimes if you set it to true, sometimes it kind of like cuts. Like I don't know if you've ever been in a scenario where you have a list, you're scrolling through it, and then you can no longer scroll through it despite it, and it's kind of like cut off from the screen, and you still, according to the app, it's like you've done scrolling, but your item seems cut off. So sometimes this might fix it. I haven't dug deep into exactly what it does, but I've seen it fix that issue a couple of times. Done this. Oops. On BindViewHolder. So there, this is where now we, for each item on the list, we kind of set it to the item that we created, the layout item where we created it from. So I'm gonna come here and create a function called bind. Give it a thought. I'm gonna call this string. So this is where I'm gonna be doing a lot of the logic. So if I come here, holder, bind. So the holder is this class. And I'm going to take the thoughts. This is this list for the position that's being passed. So for each item in the list, it's gonna be set to something in the layout. Like this is like kind of where the data and the recycler view logic now meet. So yeah, this inflated the layout, creates the layout and all that view holder. This is where now your data meets the layout. And yeah, let's start setting view. I might also need to view by ID. You need the text view. I think it was content text view. Then I'm gonna say not content view and not content text view. And text is going to be not content text view. But it's gonna be thought. Yeah, this naming is it's just bad. We need to yeah, I'll just rename everything from note to thoughts later on. For now, let me just leave it as thought. Then also for the title, I think I can, okay, yeah, since we don't have titles yet, we'll add another edit text to create the title, but for now, not title, not title. Yeah, for now, I'll just set the note title as some cool title. And if we go back to our thought list, provide thoughts, and I think I can now do this. This is no longer necessary. Cool. And let's provide my thoughts. And let's see how this works out. So I usually just use a recycler view. The adapter part is usually the confusing part most times. And I would suggest like taking your time and yeah. So you come here. That's yes, you can just like add as many as you want. And yeah, just gonna like show up over here. So as this is kind of like the logic or kind of how we create lists of things. We have this something called a recycler view. We just need to pass in your list of data and it's gonna do all the hooking up for you. There are three methods which you need to care or know about: the create view holder, bind view holder, and get item count. Yeah, also even if you're using like a custom library, I think at the end, like it's just abstractions over all this stuff. Yeah, the recycler view has a lot of other things, but these are like the core. Yeah, these are the three things that you do need to actually populate your list. The how many items, where is the layout, where are we inflating it from, which layout are we using, and this kind of, yeah, this answers, yeah, the question that this answers is how many items, which layout, and this is kind of like the final like piece. This is now where they both come to meet, your data and the recycler view, and yeah, you just do all your logic here in the view holder. You want to set text, add click actions, do something and react to it from the activity side. So this is what the logic gives. And yeah, that's kind of it. So for today, I was only using it's more of the list I'm using is in memory, meaning if I close the app and come back, oops, sorry. I'm so used to opening that app that uh yeah, like doesn't exist. We look at persisting in another time, but yeah, for now it's just in memory to keep things simple and to also give you time to give you time to yeah, time to like wrap your head around this and also to ask questions. Yeah, so I'm kind of done. If anyone has any questions about this, or you've been trying something, you want to know something about lists, RecyclerView, or navigation, let me know. Yes, and I don't know if people have, I can't see this. We share the link to the GitHub repo. I think you can see that, yeah, just pushed today's changes. You can have a look at it. There's a bunch of, also, yeah, if you need like to wrap your head around RecyclerView, I'll send what I can. But yeah, the Android documentation is one place to check it out. We have Udacity, also did a really good job with, I think I'll need to search for, oops, yeah, probably will need to sign in with my account. But yeah, you can, once you're in, you can search for the Android course. It has all the, it has one of the recycler view in Kotlin and I think also in Java. Both of them, you can take both of them since they're just like the same thing. Uh, yeah, those are the two top places I can recommend. So I guess that's it from me.
Wow, thank you, David. That was such an insight. So, anybody with a question can shoot on the comment section, or can quickly unmute himself or herself and shoot the question to David. Anyone with a question about what Gates has a question? Let me make him. So, Juliet, you can just refresh your browser and you'll have access to the mic. Hey, Juliet, do you have access to the mic? Sorry, you can just type your question. Anybody else as we wait for Juliet? Anybody with a comment? Anybody not from Kenya wants to say hi? Hey David, we have a question from Juliet. Can check on the comment section.
Yeah, so yeah, we will actually, yeah, we'll cover Firebase at some point, but that's how you have to Firebase. There's a Firebase adapter which you have to use. Yeah, if you like check the, let me just, I haven't used Firebase in a while, a very long time. But yeah, there's a Firebase adapter which you have to use. It's also like also built on the you won't use the normal RecyclerView when using Firebase. There's Firebase adapter. Can't remember which one it was, but yeah, there's something called a Firebase adapter which you can just use to and get these data snapshots and populate it. So you need this Firebase adapter to actually get your data and then use this data to set it to your RecyclerView using the RecyclerView adapter. So yeah, that needs a bit of explaining, and yeah, gonna probably need its own session to do. But you can look into the Firebase recycler adapter, or yeah, if you have like specific questions, I can just answer you separately. Yeah, but you can check out this. You can just wait the group. How do you add the back arrow when you create? Okay, so let me share my screen again. I think that one can be done very quickly. So how do you add the back arrow when you create your own toolbar? So let me try and do a quick demo of this. That won't take as much time as the Firebase adapter. So let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna just create a very new demo activity to show you how to do that. So if you have like an empty activity, so let me just close it. Activity. And this toolbar activity doesn't have, I assume it doesn't have a toolbar. So let me see, do I have a file? I'm gonna probably have to create a no toolbar style. Okay, just a quick, let me check on this quick. There's the no toolbar. I think it's gonna be okay. Yeah, nice. So So this is the default theme. So I'm gonna just override this with something that doesn't have action bar. No. Yeah, this just removes the usual action bar that we have. Wait, what? Okay. What's my not seeing? Is it really? Yeah, this is what I've been looking for. So if we try and run the, yeah, I think I'll just move this here temporarily just to see. So the question is what to do if it doesn't have action to put set the back button. Yeah, so like you can see we don't have the usual like notes app thing at the top. So if you actually want one, what you'll have to do is come here. No, you'll have to come here, add something called a toolbar parent, and the height is, so the reason I'm using this attribute, this question mark attr, is you can't hard code this because different phones have different action bar sizes. It's better if you're able to let the system decide for you. And then, yeah, constraint top to top of parent, constraint start. I don't even know why I'm hustling with constraints. Constraints end to end of parent, and I'm gonna call this, let's just call this toolbar for now. It's just a quick demo, and we have this toolbar, right? We have this toolbar. So you want to put a back button on this. So what you'll have to do is, let me see, if I run it, it'll be there, but it won't have anything on it. And you want to put a toolbar on it. Let me see if it actually added one. I assume it did, just not visible. Okay. So we're gonna come here, toolbar, find view by ID, toolbar, the toolbar. Then I'm gonna come here and say set action bar and set it as my toolbar. Is it a set support? Is it set or set support action bar? They import the wrong toolbar. Required Android-X app widget. Okay. Yeah, I think I need to import a different one. So I have to check if I'm actually, yeah, okay, yeah, it's supposed to be Android-X. And then I'm going to come and say support action bar, and set. Why isn't it showing me all this? was it set? It's something I'm forgetting. It's supposed to be set home as app. Set home as app. Enable Android. I mean, isn't that what I'm doing in Kotlin though? So there's something called okay. Oh, okay, yeah. I'm supposed to use makes sense. Action bar. So there's this set home as app indicator, no, as app enabled. That's true. And so once you set this, okay, I don't know why. Once you set this, it will be good to go. But I think we'll have to also set a parent for it to like have, yeah. Okay, seems like it's just enough to, yeah. So all you need is this set display home as app enabled and set it to true. You want it to go somewhere, you probably will have to come here and add the parent activity, and maybe if I like kick back, it's gonna take me there. Let me see. Yeah, so now if I click this, yeah, I think because it doesn't exist, oops. Yeah, because now it kind of does something. But yeah, you get the idea. This is how you put it.